Okay, look right at me. Look right at me. Yeah.
When her son Gavin started to become ill, it was subtle. So subtle, Leanne Waters wouldn't have been blamed for missing it.
Okay, look right at me. Keep your head straight. How about over here? How many fingers?
One.
Okay, good job. Look up. Look down. Do you have any? Do your fingers feel numb at all?
But one day she looked at Gavin and then looked at his twin brother Garrett side by side. The difference was staggering.
The size he is right now is pretty much the size he was last February 5th of 2015.
So almost a year.
Almost a year ago, yes.
How much does he weigh versus his twin?
He's 35.8 pounds and his twin is 53 pounds.
For months they had been drinking the same water, but Gavin was showing the effects of being poisoned by lead. And such is the nature of lead poisoning. It can affect people very differently, even twins.
Do you remember what the number was?
6.5.
What is normal?
Nothing. There's no safe exposure to lead.
It's a mantra repeated by doctors all over the world. No lead, not even a little bit, is acceptable because we know more than ever what it does to the body. When lead is ingested or inhaled, no organ in the body is spared. Lead even attacks the DNA, affecting not just you, but your future children. All of it essentially irreversible. Equally frustrating, the symptoms could show up now or years from now.
Wait, watch, and see. How do you live your life like that?
Right. It's upsetting.
He's 4.
The lead was coming from the corroded pipes carrying water. The longer the water was in the pipes, the more hazardous it became.
One of the problems is that the Walters house is one of the furthest away from the treatment facility. It partly explains why the testing here was among the highest, 13,000 parts per billion. To give you some context, 5 parts per billion would be cause for concern. 5,000 parts per billion is associated with toxic waste. This home, 13,000 parts per billion. But of course, it's not just one home. It's an entire community here in Flint. 100,000 people live here. 10%, 10,000 of whom are under the age of 6. And they're the ones who are most at risk.
When pediatricians hear anything about lead, we absolutely freak out.
It wasn't a freak out at first, but doctors in Flint started hearing whispers about elevated lead levels in the water in 2014. So Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha started looking at lead levels in her young patients. And what she found was shocking.
The percentage of children with lead poisoning doubled in the city of Flint. And in some neighborhoods, it actually tripled.
She sounded the alarm to state officials as loudly as she could, but no one listened. Instead,
we were attacked. So I was called an unfortunate researcher, that I was causing near hysteria, and that the state numbers were not consistent with our findings.
Maybe denial was so easy because of this. Flint, a city surrounded by some of the largest freshwater lakes in the world, was now delivering some of the world's most contaminated water to its citizens.
In October of 2014, General Motors, you say, stopped using the water because it was corroding their parts.
Right.
That seems like a pretty obvious clue.
Yeah, so red flags, like loud alarms, should have been going off in people's brains. If it's corroding engine parts, what is it doing to our plumbing that is predominantly lead-based?
Water that could corrode engine parts. Just imagine what it was doing to the body and brain of Gavin Walters.
These kids did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong except being poor.
In May, Professor Mark Edwards from Virginia Tech and Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha sounded an alarm about lead in Flint's water.
Governor says, look, you can have anything you want. Anything, Mona.
I want a rewind button to April 2014. That's what I want, because you can't undo this. You cannot undo this.
If there's ever been a U.S. city in need of a rewind button, it's Flint, Michigan. More than a third of the people here are living in poverty. Life expectancy is 10 to 20 years shorter than the rest of the state. There's not a full-scale grocery store anywhere in sight.
And then we got lead. Like, if you were to think of something to put in a population to keep them down for this generation and generations to come, it would be lead. It's just a loss of words.
But they, Dr. Mona, Leanne, the 100,000 citizens of Flint, have to believe that clean water will return one day soon.
Do you know why people have been putting you on TV lately?
Yeah,
Why?
because they wanted to put us on TV.
Yeah.
So they can see us.
Because you're handsome.
Yep.
Yep.